if I keep doubting myself, then I'm just spinning my wheels and I'm not taking action. Welcome to the Creative Mindset Podcast. My name is Isolde Trachtenberg, and I'm super happy you're here. On the show, I focus on creative thinking, problem solving, and living. Most often, I'll discuss how to ignite inspiration, meet challenges, and achieve goals through creative thinking. Sometimes I'll have guests who give their perspective. Usually, it's people who are already living their best and most creative lives. Okay, let's get to it. Hello, and welcome to the Creative Mindset Podcast. My name is Isolde Trachtenberg, and I'm glad you're here. So, tell me if you've heard this one before. Ooh, what if I screw it up? Oh, no. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do it right. What if I totally mess up? Ah! Have you ever done that? I have. Too many times to count. That idea of, oh, what if I mess it up? Well, the question that I ask myself nowadays is, so what if you do mess it up? What's the worst that could happen? And specifically, I'm talking about some things that I am trying to do in my professional career that I'm not sure I should do. And there's this wonderful saying that I read recently that says, if there's any doubt, then there is no doubt. And I don't remember who actually said it or wrote it, but I love, love, love the saying, except for there are times I think when you have to take the leap of faith off the cliff, you know? Sometimes you just have to go, okay, that's it. I am going to do the thing that I fear doing. Because if I don't, I'm forever teetering on this bizarre little edge, not knowing whether or not I should take the leap of faith. And sometimes you just have to, right? Sometimes you just have to go, okay, this is it. I may totally mess it up. Okay, then I will live with the consequences of that. And I can doubt myself till the cows come home. I don't like using animal sayings, so that's another one I'm going to have to figure out how to modify. But I can doubt myself like crazy, but what does it matter? Right? Because if I keep doubting myself, then I'm just spinning my wheels and I'm not taking action that would probably help me, because staying in that place of stasis where you're not moving means nothing is moving. And even if you take a step in the wrong direction, at least almost immediately you will know it was the wrong direction. It was not the best direction for you. Now, there's another saying that I love that I say all the time on this podcast is, everything that happens happens exactly as it should, because that's the way it happens. I love that one too. I think it's so wonderful. What a great way of looking at things. You know what? Maybe this misstep, whatever it is, had to happen in order for me to get to the right path right afterwards, or even 3 months afterwards. It doesn't matter. And right now, I'm thinking about this drawing that I did. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that I'm not great at drawing. It's not one of my skills, but it doesn't matter, right? Sometimes, especially right now, we're living in a world where, this social distancing and self-isolation thing is giving us the opportunity to try new things. Now, it's funny because I have a book I'm writing. I have a book I'm working on right now, and that's tremendous fun, and I'm loving having that time to do that. But there are times when you need a creative break from your creative pursuit, Maybe you could go pay your bills, or maybe you could do something that's totally out of your wheelhouse. But because it's something you've always wanted to try, you do it. But immediately upon starting that, immediately upon embarking on that path, there's a little voice inside of you, and sometimes it's a huge voice, let's call it what it is, that goes, ooh, but what if I screw it up? And that is how I have always felt about drawing. Drawing and I go way back, and everybody else in my family is good at it, whether it's mechanical drawing or beautiful, gorgeous flowing drawings. It doesn't matter. They're all pretty good at it. And my husband is an artist. I, on the other hand, was absent the day they were passing out the drawing gene. I just was. It's just not my skill set. And yet, I keep tilting at those particular windmills, and I keep trying. And so the other day, I ran across this artist on Instagram who's got these phenomenal illustrations, and they're sort of hidden cats. And if you know me, you know how much I love kitty cats. So there are cats hidden among the illustrations, and I thought, oh, these are phenomenal. And the artist's name is Lim Hang Sui, and they are putting out amazing illustrations. There's another one that they did just the other day called the ELO song Mr. Blue Sky. It's this wonderful young girl. You see her only from her back, and she's standing in front of a curtain, a very dark gray curtain that has all of this pollution, all these smokestacks and refinery plants on the curtain, puffing out pollution, and she's pulling the curtain back, and beyond the curtain is a beautiful blue sky with white puffy cumulus clouds floating along, and it's just wonderful. And I thought, oh, this person's art is great. And I went, you know what, I'm going to try and do one. I'm going to try and see if I can at least copy, even if I can't draw my own unique art. I'm going to try and copy the art and see if I can do it. So I tried, right? I took one of the illustrations, and I'm going to put my drawing in the show notes so that you can see what it looks like. Anyway, I took one of the illustrations and I went, I'm gonna see if I can do it. And sure enough, almost immediately, I screwed it up. In other words, I a line, and this has always happened to me with drawing, and you might relate to this in other things, or maybe with drawing too. Immediately upon starting to draw, I drew a line that was going to just be totally wrong, right? It was not going to be the drawing that I had envisioned, and it was going to be, quote, wrong, unquote. And here's what's interesting: this idea of judging myself and telling myself that I was wrong in the art that I was creating. Isn't that fascinating? How is the making of art wrong? Now, what I imagined it would be like was different than what came out on the page, and that's because I just don't have the skills, right? I haven't practiced enough. But was it wrong? Was the art, quote unquote, wrong? No, it wasn't wrong. And in fact, when I go back and I look at it now, I actually kind of really like what it ended up being. And I can give you the details of it. The original illustration had a kitty cat lying at the bottom of what looks like sort of a mountain. And the kitty cat is holding a little ball, possibly of yarn or something. And in the original drawing illustration, the kitty cat has got the ball of yarn both in both paws and also in his mouth or her mouth, and so it's this really cute in motion thing. And I thought, wow, I'm going to try and do that. But when I drew it, immediately the cat's mouth was going to be way too far from where I was going to place the ball. So it was just never going to work. And I was really kind of disappointed in myself that I was not able to create on paper what I envisioned. And that is my issue with drawing, actually. It's the transfer between what I imagine in my mind and the skill and the capability I have to get it down on paper. They are two very different things. And often I judge myself pretty harshly about it. You know, you're supposed to be artistic, Isolde. You should be able to figure out how to do this. And again, it's not my skill set, A, and B, I haven't tried to develop the skill set enough to actually do that what I envision is not what comes out on the paper. And I've talked to other artists, and pretty much they've all said the same thing. It doesn't happen for them either, right? They too have the exact same thing that happens, that what they envision is not what happens. And so I'm judging myself harshly before I even get the lines on the page. So, and that's there might be a lesson in there for you too. This idea of refrain from judging until after you've started, even, because sometimes if you prejudge yourself, you won't even begin. And I did. I went through and I went, okay, that's it. I'm just going to try it. And what ended up happening, and this is fascinating to me, is that it looks like the kitty cat has the little ball of yarn and is on the way to grabbing the yarn with mouth rather than already holding the yarn. And then I went, okay, so that gives me another idea. And I took the yarn, the color of the yarn, which is a kind of a pale yellow, and I used the nickel to make the circle. And I took that to trace the circle, I should say. And I took that nickel and I put it up at the very top, and I then created a little moon, which isn't in the original illustration, by the way, that Lee Heng Sui did. That is not in the original illustration, but I wanted to kind of echo the little ball of yarn, the little light yellow ball of yarn, into the sky with the exact same color and size moon at the top of the mountain. And I'm actually thrilled with what I did. I love what it turned out to be like. And what's really interesting is that completing the drawing gave me a super fun idea for a short story that I'm also working on now. And that's one of the beauties of this kind of happenstance art, or happenstance mistakes, quote unquote, is that often they will yield inspiration. They'll inspire you to do something else. So what if the line didn't come out the way I imagined it ought to or should? You know, don't should all over yourself. But so what? So what if I did that? Big deal, right? Because then it allowed me to get something even, well, certainly different, but I think even better, more compelling than what I'd gotten from the original piece. Not because the original piece was in any way bad or deficient, but that what I captured for myself is better for what I actually ended up wanting, even though at first I was judging myself very harshly for what I ought to have done. And then this idea of what it's going to be sort of a parable, I think, and I'm very excited to write it, about the cat and the moon. And so I'm thrilled to pieces to be able to create that part of it and have this little drawing be the the symbol of the story. The story would probably have never come up. It would never have bubbled up into the surface from my subconscious if I hadn't made what I had first considered a mistake. Right? So this is my plea for you. If you are thinking about trying something creative, and if you are judging yourself before you even start that you might not be as good as you want to be, or as you dream of being, or that you might mess it up, or that you might make a mistake, please, I am begging you, try it anyway. Start where you are and try it. Do it, because chances are you will get exactly the thing that you were meant to get in the first place, but also that you'll make art that is extensive and expansive, because a little bit of wildness, a little bit of wild in art never hurt anybody. Just ask Jackson Pollock, right? Although Jackson Pollock isn't my favorite. He certainly was wild in his art. Maybe Salvador Dali, whose work I do love, he was wild in his art, even as he was very particular. So I highly recommend that if you've been thinking about doing something creative, and especially during this time of self-isolation, and you have not begun because you're worried that you might not be good enough or that you might make a mistake and mess it up, this is the perfect time to start, because it won't be a mistake. It will just enrich the art and the creative endeavor you end up with. I promise you, you will fall in love with what you end up creating. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there for you. And part of this is also for me to develop, to boost my own confidence, not in drawing, but in some other creative pursuits that I want to do, that if they bear fruit, I will certainly be talking about on the podcast in weeks to come. I'm super excited, by the way, that Kyriaki Chanakis is on the show, or was on the show yesterday. So you're hopefully have had a chance to listen to her, bright star that she is. She's wonderful. She's an actress and a model and a musician. She's been in movies and television shows, and I'm very grateful that she agreed to be on the show. So that's yesterday's episode. Next week's episode, I believe, will be the wonderful host of the Casual Space podcast, Beth Mund, is going to be on the show this coming Wednesday. So I'm very excited about having her back on the show. She hasn't been on the show for ages, and she's always a delight and a joy to speak with. So I'm excited to bring you her creative ways that she's pivoted from during this time of self-isolation. And then next week after that, we're going to have Nikki Scorpio, visionary artist and musician. So we've got tons of great great, creative, inspiring episodes coming up for you. And I hope that you're enjoying all of them. I wanted to also ask you if you are enjoying them. If you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving a review wherever you listen to the podcast, iTunes or Google Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen. Please, I'd love it. It would mean the world to me if you would leave me a review and tell me what you're thinking. And until next time, which hopefully will be soon, I want to tell you that I am Isolde Trachtenberg for the Creative Mindset Podcast, and that I send you all of my love.
Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and please tell your friends about the community we're building here. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright Isolde Trachtenberg 2019. Today's music was from Kevin MacLeod, Laser Groove, and Ave Marimba, brought to you by Creative Commons License 3.0. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, I send you all of my love.